All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here. I am really, really excited to bring this to everybody. This is something that's been in the works for a while, and it's coming closer and closer to becoming a reality. So I'm really, really excited for everybody to be a part of this. And so this is Shantae. She's going to be interviewing me, and I'm really excited about this. Who knows what it's going to bring, but I know that she's going to ask me some great questions. And this is all to support. Shantae is from the Daily Gratitude Movement, and I get to be the pleasure and privilege of being one of the speakers on an event that's coming up in April. So you definitely want to stay tuned. So Shantae, I will turn it over to you, and you can take it from here and ask the questions that you wanted to ask, and we'll make some things happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for doing this. I am Shantae Healthwells. I am one of the leaders in the Daily Gratitude Movement, and I'm also going to be the MC host for this event that Jeff was mentioning. So, first and foremost, how are you today, sir?
I am great. Great to be here. Excited to be here. Yeah, I'm good. Life is good.
Woohoo! Well, most people know me because I always throw in a Ric Flair or two. So, speaking of Flair, I'd like to get into my first question right away. And that is, what's the true meaning of potential? According to you, what would you say the true meaning is of potential?
That's a great question. I love your flair. That's awesome. I haven't heard that name in a while. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great question because a lot of people have heard the word, but to really understand the distinction of what is it that they can latch onto of actually what it means. For me, potential is the actualization of possibility. And so that means for me that if it has been done by somebody else, then it's possible. Or, it's not only using that as the evidence of whether it's possible or not, but understanding that we can always build on top of what has already happened and been presented and been manifested. So we can always take the strategies and the syntax and all the beliefs and all that to create and expand on what somebody else has done as well. So, yeah, because for me, it's actualizing something is a really, really great opportunity for people. And it's, based on your state, based on your story, based on the strategies that you're using. And as an NLP guy, right, like you've got to look at when you model somebody, look at their syntax, look at their beliefs, look at their attitudes, look at all of that, and then model what it is that they've done. And it's possible for anybody else as well. So that's what potential means for me.
Oh, I like that. And you mentioned one of my three favorite letters together, which is NLP. So
Mhm.
I absolutely love that answer. So now, since you've given us such a full and good answer to that first question, my next question then for you is going to be, what's the major distinction between someone who lives a life of fulfillment and then like one who doesn't?
Wow. That's another
Woo!
great question. So for me, to me, success and failure, and the whole conversation of failure is a whole other conversation. But what is the major distinction between people that live a life of fulfillment and those that don't? Is not understanding the programs that are running their lives. Right. By the age of 35, 95% of our life is automatic, and we do not. We one of my favorite quotes is by Carl Jung, and he says, "If we do not make our unconscious conscious, it will control our lives, and we will call it fate." And most people have no idea on how much their internal world is running the show. And 75% of what we know is by the age of 5. And so it's really looking at what are the strategies that I have to access in order for me to create what I want to create, and then being able to look at how effective and aligned with are they to what it is that I want to create. But so many people, and I'm included in all this. When I say many people, this has been my journey. I started out in a car accident that almost ended my sister's life. Like that's what had to happen for me to really start looking at the direction of my life. That was my potential. I potentially ran my life into the ground, right? And that was my greatest failure, is I didn't end my life in that car accident. But being able to, success and failure is an internal program, and looking at how everything we do, and this is a question that I think everybody really, really needs to sit with a lot, and that is every single thing we do serves us. Every single thing we do. And when I'm working with one-on-one clients, well, it doesn't serve me. We don't do it if it doesn't serve us. But we got to find out, how is this serving me? And usually it's because of a program that we created as a child, that I'm not enough, I'm not going to make it, I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable, whatever that is. If we don't look at that program and find out the root cause of what created that, then that's the program that's going to play out. And of course, our ego and our conscious and all that stuff will look for evidence to support that. So the major distinction is the programs, without a doubt, because it's our operating system, and we put software programs on top of our operating system. So if you want a good relationship, you install that program. You want a business, you install that program. But if the operating system is off, those programs aren't going to be to the most optimized ability that they were designed to do. So that's the major distinction.
Oh man, this has been so good. You know what? It actually reminded me. I have a book, one of my favorites of all time. You mentioned Carl Jung. I always have a tongue twister with him, but Viktor Frankl is that guy for me. Man's Search for Meaning. And when you started talking about that potential and those automatic like tapes that start to play in our head, and that distinction between the two, it made me think about what he described in that book, Man's Search for Meaning, about the external controls versus those internal controls. Like, despite all that was going on, he finally realized there was one thing he had control of, which was his mind, and what his beliefs were going to be. Oh my gosh, Coach Jeff, I cannot wait for this event, man. You got me fired up. Woo! I'm feeling like Claire.
That's such a great book too, because in that, like, obviously that's about his experience with the Holocaust. Is that true fulfillment is finding purpose in the pain, right? And it's the logos therapy, what he's talking about. So that, if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend you read that. That's an amazing, amazing book. And he's one of my favorite quotes that he says too is, you can take everything away from a person, but the last of human freedoms, and that is their right to choose their own attitude in any given set of circumstances, right? So it's our right to choose our own way. And I believe that that's our greatest gift that God gave us, is free choice, free will to decide. And in order to have that, to really exercise our freest, most liberating gift, we have to have the contrast. We have to have positive and negative, and we get to choose on what we're going to focus on. And so great book. Super glad you brought that up. That's an amazing, amazing book.
I think that's why I love that you brought up the way you defined potential, the way you answered that first question. Like, I think about the fact that anytime I get stuck, that's why I keep this literally at arm's length. It's that reminder, because we are all on this journey. I love that you owned, the process and the journey that you've been on. And that's the thing that I love. And I know you're going to share so much. And I love the fact that you're in this work and you are going to continue to pour in, but you're being that light for others, as Viktor Frankl in his book, as he was for me. I know, like, the gifts that you're sharing with us, it's that same thing. When people can see and know that there's a possibility that it can be done. Man, I'm loving this conversation. And I hate to come to my last question, but I really am just so grateful, speaking of gratitude, that we get the opportunity to hear you and to delve into this more on April the 5th. So I'd love to know how you weave these two together. What would you say, how does potential and gratitude, like, what would you say they have in common? How do the two what's the common ground there between potential and gratitude?
Yeah. There's a lot. That's another great question. Because again, thinking of potential as the actualization of possibility, right? Well, what is that actualization? What does that look like? And also recognizing that gratitude, we are the ones that give every experience the meaning of that experience, right? And I can walk outside and it can be raining and I can be upset that I'm going to get wet, whatever, or I can walk outside and go, wow, this is an amazing day and everything's fresh. And here in Central California, it's an amazing day when it rains because it knocks down all the pollution and get to see a beautiful blue sky, right? So it's a great day. But gratitude is such a high vibration. And see, this is and with potential, the similarity with potential, right, is literally look at gamifying life. And the more we can gamify life and understand that, sometimes we're going to go through lessons that aren't much fun, but going through that lesson is the very thing that is the preparation, is the initiation that we must go through in order for us to have the foundation to build on the blessing on top of it, right? It's like the old saying goes that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And for us to really understand what that means is really, really, really important. So being grateful, we've all had teachers come into our life. Every person, every experience, every event, everything has a teacher, has a lesson involved in it. And if we are grateful for that, yes, it doesn't mean we have to endorse it. It doesn't mean that we have to necessarily enjoy it at times, because I've gone through some, like, feel like I've been turned inside out lessons. And the thing that's important about that is the lessons will keep returning until we get the wisdom that we need to get in order for us to transcend and align with what is our true or higher calling. And so being grateful for the teachers, being grateful for the past, because the thing that's important about that too is, potential is the actualization of possibility. If we're not grateful for our journey, then the parts of that we resist, we literally become subject to. Right. And anytime we have resistance about something, the reason we have resistance is because on the inner side of that resistance is a wound. And our greatest mastery for us as humans is learning how to love into the pain. Like, that's our greatest mastery. That's our greatest opportunity for us. And like, I've been molested, I've been beaten, I've been abandoned, I've been put in foster homes. Like, I've gone the gamut. So it's not that I'm just saying this from a theoretical standpoint. It's our liberation is us learning how to change the narrative, how to take what has happened to us and being able to use it to be the light in somebody else's light, right? To me, that's the true meaning of fulfillment, is I'm able to take my pain and my lessons and my skills and all the things that I didn't sign up to be a coach. Like, I got here because my life depended on it. And so now I'm having a life of fulfillment because the things that literally saved my life, I get to support that in other people's. And so being grateful for our teachers and being grateful for the journey and grateful for the pain and the lessons and all that stuff. Again, it doesn't mean endorse it. It doesn't mean, because the thing that our subconscious does is it takes everything personally. Right. And I'm just going to list, everybody's listening to this. What I'm going to share with you is literally the tool that could liberate you from this point forward. And that is, because our subconscious takes everything personally, all behavior has a positive intention. Right. And so somebody has a behavior that comes at you and it harms you. Well, why it harms you is because you're taking it personal and you're making it about you. Right. But it's really, really important to understand that behavior is an adaptation and it has a positive intention for the person with the behavior. So if you get entangled with a narcissist, right, the pain's going to come from you're taking it personal. Like, this is about me. They attacked me. But actually, they're doing what they know how to do. And this is how they believe they need to show up in order to get whatever it is that they're missing within their own life. I've had many entanglements with narcissists. But again, being grateful for the lesson that they called something out in you that needed to be called out in order for you to transcend and become a higher version of who you are. And I know sometimes, like, I'm not real excited going through some of the lessons that I get to go through, right? But we have to go through the lesson to get to the other side, because in the lesson, the learning is coming and integrating and assimilating for us to become, it's like one of my coaches said, there's a finite amount of problems. There's an infinite amount of solutions. And so, the problem is the initiation, is the catalyst for us to be called forward so that we get to believe that we can achieve something beyond what we think we're capable of. And so that's where the gratitude and the potential really synthesize together to be able to call us forward to be the greater version of who we are.
Woo! I had to give you a flare on that one. That was good, brother. That was so good, man. I love the way that you weave that in there. And I am just so delighted, and I'm excited for April 5th. Thank you so much, Coach Jeff, for allowing us this opportunity to interview you and to sit at your feet, as my grandmother would say. So thank you so much. And thank you for lending us your audience as well to do this. It's been my pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Shante. And everybody stay tuned for April 5th. There's going to be a lot of speakers that are going to be a part of this Daily Gratitude Movement. Follow the Daily Gratitude Movement. This is huge. And I want to do all I can to support it and introduce it to all of my friends and followers so that you all have a blessed day. And there is the event, there is the link inside. Click on that link and sign up for it. You'll be glad you did. Shante, you're an amazing soul. Thank you for being on this planet. And thank you for doing what you're doing.
Ah, thank you as well, brother. Have a great day.
Thank you. Everybody have a good day. Be blessed.